The meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now called to order. We will have invocation by Councilman Fleury, and we will be led by the pledge by Councilman Jeff Everson.
Please stand. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you this day for the opportunity to assemble here as the City Council of Shreveport. We thank you, O God, for our mayor and the administration and the men and women that every day deliver the services to the citizens. I thank you, O God, for the many blessings that you've given this city. I pray for peace, peace that passeth all understanding. Now I ask that you go with us, guide us, give us wisdom and knowledge. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford. Councilman Everson.
Here.
Councilman Jenkins.
Present.
Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Floyd.
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch. Councilman Bowles.
Here. There a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference.
Mr. Chairman. Second.
Been moved by Councilman Corbin and second by Vice Chair. Please vote. Motion passes 5-2. 5-2 out of chamber. Sorry. And awards and distinguished guests. Any communications by the mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
This afternoon we have 3 or 4 announcements, and then we have 1 recognition.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one, this week we will begin the first projects of Phase 2 of the consent decree work. I'm glad to announce that these initial projects will all be done using trenchless technology. We're looking at saving millions of dollars utilizing this technology. On Monday, January 15th, the nation will celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. City employees will join again this year with Centenary College for a day of service to volunteer in our community. I encourage everyone to use this day to get out and give back to others. We're still cutting ribbons, and I want to invite everyone to the ribbon cutting ceremony for Andrew Curry Park. It will take place at 4 p.m. Thursday, January 18th at the park, 1600 Norman Avenue. I want to thank all of our departments, SPAR, SPD, and SFD that worked to help us pull off a great Independence Bowl. We were excited to have walk-ons become a sponsor for this game that featured Florida State and Southern Mississippi. Gave us a really good game, I think. This year, the pep rally was held in the Red River District. The game attendance was very good, and that was a good thing. And we look forward to growing it this year for 2018. At this time, I'd like to have Mrs. Renee Westerman and her family, the daughters, Melissa and her husband Tony, Brooke and her husband Travis, with infant daughter Anna, and Lauren and her husband David to come forward as I present a proclamation to honor the life and legacy of our Mr. Robert Westerman. At this time, also, I'm going to ask the engineering staff to stand as I read the proclamation. And, Mr. Chairman, if you will join me down at the podium. I'm going to read this and then we'll see if Jimmy comes. Okay, the proclamation reads, whereas Mr. Robert E. Westerman served the city of Shreveport for more than 40 years and left his mark on virtually all infrastructure, roadways, drainage, and water and sewer projects during that time. And whereas aptly described as knowing every nook and cranny of the city, he was highly skilled, had expansive knowledge, and was deeply dedicated and committed to the betterment of Shreveport. And whereas his institutional knowledge of the city infrastructure and historical dynamics of our community was unmatched. He had a photographic memory, an ability to recall documents, contracts, agreements, legislation, and projects which went through the city. I can attest to that. And whereas Mr. Westerman touched our hearts and minds as he intertwined his mastery of engineering with his personable and kind demeanor. Although he could be tough and even stubborn when he believed his way was the right way, he was always willing to compromise and work toward solutions. And whereas, in addition to being an outstanding engineer, he could cook, sew, and repair almost anything. He enjoyed genealogy, and his favorite topic was explaining how to live with 4 women. And whereas his honesty, humor, and laughter made him a best friend, his intelligence, compassion, and patience made him the best engineer. And now, therefore, I, Ali S. Tyler, Mayor of the City of Shreveport, do hereby pay tribute on this day, Tuesday, January 9th, 2018, to the life and legacy of Mr. Robert E. Westerman in the City of Shreveport, and give thanks for his tireless work ethic and commitment to excellence in everything he did. Each day, he worked to make the City of Shreveport a better place to live and grow. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the city seal of the city to be affixed. And I want to say God bless you to his family. We attended the visitation for the family and the services. And I just want to say to Mrs. Westerman and the daughters and the entire family that we sorely miss Robert, but we know that he is in a better place.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing him with the City of Shreveport.
Thank you.
At this time, if you'd like to have comments, and we'll do pictures.
Robert was proud to serve the citizens of Shreveport. He was a dedicated worker, and I think he enjoyed every day that he came to work. There was challenges, but he met those as needed. And he did say that he'd gone through a variety of administrations, a variety of mayors, and he was pleased with all of them. They had different characteristics, but he was proud to serve everyone in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Westerman. Let's give her a hand.
I can briefly say that me being a newbie, as what they call me, as starting on the council, Robert, and reading off what the mayor said, I'll just piggyback off that. When she said he knew every nook and cranny, he knew every nook and cranny. I'm sure you all knew that. I went up to see Robert one day, and I was telling him about an area that I wanted some corrections done to, and Robert was telling me, well, that's not your district, and that's for the parish, and I wanted to argue with Robert and tell him no, because I knew this was my area. But Robert made sure that he told me in the kindest, toughest way to let me know that I didn't know what I was talking about. And of course, he was correct. And I just to say that we're gonna miss Robert a whole lot, and I appreciate you all coming down.
Want to take a picture?
Oh, sure. Okay.
And we have a new baby that was
Yeah.
born, what month? 1 month old.
December 11th. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, look straight ahead. Okay. Okay, that's
All right.
good. No more of that click and flash there.
That's all right. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And while y'all are taking your seats, thank you again for sharing Robert with us. I've had the chance to chair the infrastructure committee a couple of times, and worked a lot with him over the years, and just could not be a kinder guy. Really gave so much to our city and made such a lasting impression. And I know y'all meant the world to him, and you could tell he was a good father and a good leader of the family. So we truly miss him, and thank y'all for sharing him with us.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that ends our announcements.
Okay. Does any council member have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests?
From me? We also had an unfortunate, event to one of our fellow council members. So I'd like to spend this time and just extend our sincerest sympathies to the family of Glossy Bradford. That is obviously Willie Bradford's mother. Based on the comments that I heard personally at the eulogies at the visitation, she was clearly a woman of very strong character and faith. Some characteristics that we're certainly going to miss in our community going forward. So I ask that you just take a moment of time and give a few thoughts and prayers to the Bradford family in their time of duress here. So thank you.
And if I may, Mr. Councilman, I did ask the council the last time to pray for Mr. Bradford, and we attended his mom's funeral services on Saturday.
Yes.
And so we also, from the administration, would like to also ask folks to continue to keep them in their prayers.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Councilman Corbin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to quickly recognize all the different Mardi Gras crews here in the city as we enter the Mardi Gras season. I think we have our first parade kicks off on Monday, and we'll go through for the next month or so. So I encourage everybody to get involved as much as you can. Go out and buy some food and beverage and buy some things to throw and participate in this great event. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jeff, you have something? No? Okay. Mr. Green? Any member have any questions that are related to property standards? Mr. Green?
I don't have any questions, but before I leave, I did want to catch up with you about one of the appeals from yesterday. Just before we leave today, I wanted to catch up with you about one of the appeals that we had yesterday.
Okay.
I don't need to talk about it now, but just offline.
Okay.
No public hearing today.
I think you're good.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I understand that our first crew of Sobek will be this Saturday
Yes, ma'am.
at
1 o'clock, Queensboro.
1 o'clock, Queensboro neighborhood, and I think it'll start on at the fairgrounds and come down Murtis. Am I correct? Up to Lakeshore Drive and come around. Yes, ma'am. And that's at what time? At 1 o'clock.
Starts at 1.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And legislation to the agenda. We don't have any further comments, right?
We have no items today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Moving on. No appointments. She said she didn't have any appointments today. Now, no items on the consent agenda. Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, there are 2 items that can be adopted on the consent agenda, resolutions 1 and 2. A motion to adopt the consent agenda would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson, second by Vice Chair. Please vote. Passes 6, one absent.
Mr. Chairman, we're now into regular agenda legislation, resolutions on second reading and final passage. Resolution 197, there was some comment yesterday about the administration may wanting to postpone this.
We do not want to postpone, Mr.
Right.
Clerk. We want that to go through.
Resolution 197 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the city of Shreveport and Lanyap Landing for the private sanitary sewer and water main extensions and related facilities to serve Lakeshore Harbor Estates.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Fleury. In discussion, please vote. Passes 6, one out of chamber.
Resolution 206 authorizes the mayor to execute an acceptance of act of donation between the city of Shreveport and Norris Ferry Road LLC for the water and sewer improvements and related facilities to serve St. Charles Place subdivision unit number 15.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Corbin, second by the Vice. Any discussion? Please vote. The Motion carries 6-1 out of chamber.
Resolution 207 authorizes the mayor to execute a surface and subsurface use payment and release, and to also execute a pipeline, right-of-way, and easement agreement associated with the expansion of the one existing well pad at the City of Shreveport sludge field location along the Harts Island Road.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Corbin, second by the vice. In discussion, please vote. Motion carries 6-1 absent.
Resolution 208 authorizes the placement of a sign on city-owned property and otherwise provides with respect thereto.
Been moved by Councilman Corbett, and second by Councilman Fleury. In discussion, please vote.
No one saw that.
Motion passes 6-1 absent. Mr. Thompson, please continue your introduction to resolution.
There too, Mr. Chairman, resolution number 3 authorizes use of certain equipment by Sports Spectrum Race Management, and resolution 4 amends resolution number 110 of 2017, reflecting the City of Shreveport's endorsement of the Market Street Shreveport LLC to participate in the benefits of the Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement
So
Program.
moved for introduction.
Second.
It's been moved by the vice, second by Councilman Everson. Any discussions? Please vote. Motion passes 6-1 absent.
Mr. Chairman, there are 2 ordinances to be introduced. Ordinance number 1 amends the 2018 capital improvements budget. It concerns Sportran. And ordinance number 2 is a series ordinance pursuant to the general bond ordinance, reauthorizing the issuance of not exceeding $20 million principal amount of taxable water and sewer revenue bonds. Series 2018A of the City of Shreveport, State of Louisiana, is provided in a notice of intent given by resolution number 38 of 2017, adopted on March the 14th, 2017, establishing certain details of such bonds as required by the general bond ordinance, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, pledging the net revenues of the city's combined water and sewer system to secure such bonds, prescribing the form and certain terms and conditions of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
So moved.
Need a second. Second. It's been moved by Councilman Fleury, second by Councilwoman Lynch. In discussion, please vote. Passes 6-1 absent.
We're now into ordinances on second reading and final passage. The first is ordinance 123, changing the name of Westwood Circle to Larry Brennan III Circle.
So moved.
Second. In discussion, vote. There's a motion by Councilman Everson, second by the chair. Carries 6-1 absent.
Ordinance 149 amends and reenacts certain provisions of Chapter 10, Chapter 62, and Chapter 78 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to allowing open container and public outdoor consumption of alcoholic beverages in designated downtown areas, which include sidewalk cafes or bistros adjacent to certain premises, and to allow open container and outdoor consumption of alcoholic beverages citywide, to include on city property when a lawful, local, temporary, special event alcohol permit is obtained, and to allow for the applicant to apply for a local, temporary, special event alcohol permit in any area within the City of Shreveport, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. The amendment to be considered today is Amendment Number 2, which deletes the ordinance with the above title and substitutes the attached ordinance with the same title.
I'd like to move for amendment number 2.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Corbin. Please vote. Passes 6-1 absent.
And so moved as amended.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Corbin. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 151 amends the Metropolitan Planning Commission's fee schedule for the city of Shreveport.
So moved.
Second. Been moved by Vice Chair, second by the Chair. Please vote. Motion passes 5 to 1 and 1 absent.
Ordinance 152 closes and abandons a 20-foot wide street dedication in the Tucker subdivision in Section 16, Township 17 North, Range 14 West.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Chair, second by Councilman Fleury. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 153 declares the city's intention to establish permanent servitudes on certain adjudicated properties
So
for the
moved.
water and sewer consent decree
Second.
projects.
Moved by Councilman Everson, second by the Chair. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 154 is a zoning matter, case number C-115-17. It rezones property located on the southwest corner of Stoner Avenue and Uri Drive from C2 Corridor Commercial District to C3 General Commercial District.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Corbin. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 155 is a zoning matter, case number C-117-17. It rezones property located on the southwest corner of Piermont Road and Thornhill Avenue from R17, Single Family Residential District, and C1, Neighborhood Commercial District, to C2, Corridor Commercial District.
We're looking at 155, right?
155.
I'll second.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Vice Chair.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Just an interrogative. Is Mr. Donnelly present?
No, sir.
Okay.
Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 156 is a zoning case number C-118-17. It rezones property located on the northeast corner of North Market Street and Lincoln Drive from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C1 SPUD. That's the Neighborhood Commercial Small Planned Unit Development District.
Second. Moved by Councilman Fleury, second by the Chair. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 157 is a zoning matter, case number C-123-17. It rezones property located on the northeast corner of Pines Road and Buncombe Road, the Huntington Plaza Shopping Center, from C2 Corridor Commercial District to C3 General Commercial
So
District.
moved.
Second.
Moved by the Chair, seconded by Councilman Everson. Please vote. Passes 6, 1 absent.
Ordinance 158 is a zoning matter, case number C-127-17. It rezones property located on the north side of Standard Oil Road, east of Lotus Lane, south of Union Pacific Railroad, from R17, Single Family Residential District, to RMHS, residential manufactured home subdivision district.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Fleury. We have one discussion.
Okay. I guess Councilwoman Lynch, have you spoken to the neighbors here in this area?
Yes, no one has a problem with it.
Well, because according to the notes, there were several people that misunderstood what was being considered in this particular piece of legislation.
That's been resolved.
It has. I have to say that I am certainly not in favor of having manufactured homes as a rule within the city of Shreveport. So I am going to vote against this, not taking away the rights of the people that currently have the homes there, but I don't think it's a good posture for our city going forward when there's ample opportunity in the parish for manufactured homes in close proximity.
Most of the homes there are manufactured, and all of, if I'm not mistaken, I think maybe one did not sign the petition that he had, but every resident on the street signed the petition. I'm just adding that in, just FYI.
Yeah, that, and I will just say, according to the notes, that was because they were thinking the one house that was applying for, or that was going to build a new one or get a new one, they thought it only applied to that one specific lot. That was according to the notes. Now, I'm not disputing what Councilwoman Lynch said, that it had been resolved since then. That is
Okay.
not, I'm certainly not, because I have not been involved.
Okay. Please vote. Motion passes 5-1, one absent.
Mr. Chairman, those are all of the items on the regular agenda. I'm not aware of any matter to be pulled from the table.
Let me ask, I have two matters that are still pending from last year on the table of legislation, and I guess I need to speak with, who's doing the interim engineer duties?
Mr. Furlong, Patrick. Mr.
Okay.
Patrick Furlong.
Okay, all righty.
You want him to come up?
Well, no, I'll call him
Okay,
and get that update,
okay,
you know.
okay.
Robert and I had been communicating, but it's been probably a little bit now.
Right.
Um,
He was ill, for
right,
several months.
Right, and so I just need to get caught up to speed and see if we need to
Which
take some
one is it,
action on
Councilwoman? Which one is it?
the table legislation, Resolution 20 and Ordinance 14 of 2017.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
No appeals. We did all the property standards appeals.
We have no appeals today, Mr. Chairman.
No ABO. MP, there are no MPC or ZBA to consider at this time?
I'm sorry.
MPC or ZBA to consider at this time? No. No other appeal. Any reports from officers or boards in the committee? No.
I could share, I showed yesterday in the work session, but we did have the infrastructure committee meeting yesterday, and we shared the administration's next phase of proposed bike lanes, as well as talked about some of the issues surrounding small cell installations and that technology. Got a lot of good information and a lot of good feedback so that we could make some of those decisions, which was the point of that meeting, that had come to our agenda at a point when many of us didn't feel like we knew enough about the subject to make some good decisions. So that was a really helpful meeting yesterday. I appreciate everybody who participated in that. And we did set a tentative date, realizing that committees haven't been reappointed just yet, but we did set a tentative date for the next infrastructure committee meeting before the next council meeting so that we can continue to follow up on some of the ongoing issues.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Court? Jenkins, I'm sorry.
Nope, that was from before.
Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes, I just wanted to commend Lex for the reporting on this and, getting the, advance that the meeting was happening and reporting actually what occurred in the meeting on yesterday. I think it was real helpful because there seemed to be a lot of interest in it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, some of Councilman Corbin's neighbors reported to me last night that he was in the garage working, and I just wondered if he was working on building a cell tower.
I was taking copious notes.
I think it was a. It might have been a Mardi Gras float.
There was some Mardi Gras activity.
We will have the boards and committees will be sometime this week, so I'll make sure I get that to the office.
See what?
For the boards and committees that we have. I have that to the office sometime this week.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any additional, no, I'm sorry, is there any clerk's report?
We received a request from Mr. Bernie Woods for the city council to extend the 180-day period found in section 16.3G of the Unified Development Code to complete the liquor store project authorized by the special use permit in zoning case number C-102-17 at 327 Kings Highway. The special use permit was approved by the city council on November the 28th, and the lawsuit to prevent the property from becoming a liquor store was filed on December the 21st, 2017. So he's seeking an extension until the lawsuit has been decided.
But that's nothing that we have to do to.
Well, it will require, if the council wants to act, it will require a resolution by the council.
But not today.
Not today.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it.
Any additional communications? Any council members or the mayor?
Not for me.
Well, public comments.
Okay. Mr. Jake Flukers, please. And just to remind you, if you would state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Jake Flukers, 741 King Ridge Place, Shreveport, 08. My city council person, Mr. James Flory.
All right.
And I want to speak to you about adjudicated property and mineral right. Being from South Louisiana, they had a saying that the meek were going to inherit the earth. They also said that they will not own the mineral right. But I never did think that the city of Shreveport would be the one that get the mineral right. A little sample of what I'd had to go through to get the property, adjudicated property. I had to pay for a survey. I had to pay for the appraisal. Had to pay for them to put an ad in the paper, telling the people that if they're interested in buying this place, we're going to have an auction. After I bought this property through auction, I just found out early part of this year that the city is taking my mineral right, and I've continued to pay taxes on it. I don't think it's fair that I'm going to be paying taxes on my property, and the city will be taking the mineral right. All right, and but I don't think it's fair, and I think that we should do something about it and change it.
Okay. Councilwoman Lynch, is that old? That's up there?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Attorney Bradford, can you speak relative to this?
Yes, sir. Generally speaking, under the state constitution, there is a reservation of all mineral rights. I think it's Article 9, Section 4 of the state constitution, whereas municipal entities, state bodies, reserve the rights to their mineral rights. The adjudicated property procedure, we're only selling a tax interest into that particular property. I know Mr. Statlander deals closely with that. He may be able to answer some more specific questions for you. Generally speaking, though, ordinarily municipalities do not release mineral rights because the sale of the adjudicated property for us is only the sale of the tax interest that we hold in that property. I can't really give you specific advice on it as a city attorney, but generally speaking, that's why municipalities and state agencies, state bodies maintain or reserve their mineral rights.
Right. I was told that the city council back in 2008 got together and decided that since Shell was paying for it, they decided they would keep the mineral right. I can understand that the city council would keep the mineral right if they have the property. But once someone buys this property and continue to pay tax on it, on the property, I don't think it's fair that the city will keep the property. The only other place I know where to take the mineral right from a country, from a person who paying taxes on it, is somewhere in Africa. Now, we don't want to be compared with people taking the mineral right from.
Well, actually,
like
just
in
for a
Africa.
point of clarification, the United States is the only country in the world.
Wait, speak up, I can't hear you.
The United States is the only country in the world, besides a small part of Canada, that actually allows mineral right ownership by its citizens.
Right.
Every other single country in the world, mineral rights are retained through the government.
All right. Well,
So, I mean, we are unique in this whole category of laws associated, and particularly in Louisiana. His point on the tax lien is, I think, the key point here, that if you are actually purchasing the property from the owner of the property, that conveyance would either include mineral rights or it would not have mineral rights. And even if it didn't have mineral rights, after 10 years of non-use, they would prescribe to the new property owner. So we're talking about two very different things from, and I'm not an attorney, but I spend a lot of time with mineral rights, so I can tell you a lot about it. But I think there's a little confusion on buying a tax lien here and buying the property.
Buying the property outright.
I could understand a private individual who's selling their property, they could negotiate anything. If you buy the property from me and I sell you this property for this certain amount, but I will keep my mineral right for 3 years, then you'll take it. That's how they usually do it when you're buying property and negotiating the mineral right thing. But this is a city thing. We didn't negotiate on anything. I'm paying taxes for it, and y'all keeping the mineral right.
And it's because the city is not the fee title owner of it.
Right.
You know, the city owns
We are
a
only
tax
offering our
interest
tax
in it.
interest.
And so because so when you acquire an adjudicated property or a property that's gone through tax adjudication, that's essentially a foreclosure due to the tax interest on it. So it's not like the person who owned that. So somebody probably owned that property at some point, including the mineral rights, but they didn't sell it to the city. We just acquired an interest in it because they didn't pay their taxes. So because we got an interest in it, we're able to sell what the law allows us to sell, so that you can have, ownership of it, but we don't have
Use.
Yeah, you can have use of it. We don't have the ability to transfer it like a normal sale would happen, and we have to follow what is the set procedure for us.
Again, I was told that 2008, the city council got together and they made a law saying we're going to sell the property. Right now, I was hearing that the mineral right was sold to someone for $1 an acre.
Well,
Or $1 or something. So if you can sell the property,
I think the
why
city
you take
may
my
have.
property?
I
my
think the
mineral?
city may have. We may be confusing things here. I mean,
It's not
this is
adjudicated
before any
property,
of our
that was
time on council, but I do
city
think
property.
that sometime, maybe even in the '90s, before the Haynesville Shale discussion, maybe early 2000s, there were some mineral leases that the city entered into, but that would be for the mineral rights.
City-owned property.
Like for city property.
City-owned
So that would be like underneath the street and the parks and things like that, like
Airports.
things that the city actually owns. And I think that's, if memory serves me correctly, that's predates 2008 a while. So I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to.
Now, I still haven't, now who getting my mineral right, if they have anything coming?
May I ask if,
I mean,
after the meeting, we can get Mr. Malcolm Statlander to talk with the gentleman about what he has, what kind of property he has, and then we can give you a thorough explanation.
All right, and since y'all know so much about it, what I have to do to get my mineral right back? I have to get a petition going?
Well, they're not yours
Or
to
the city
do.
council
You never
one
had
going to
them
get
to begin
together and, a state law.
So if he will talk with you afterward to see if you actually own the mineral rights, let him talk with you, and let's find out what your case is, because we're hearing several different scenarios. If you will, we'll be glad to talk with you afterward.
All right, so I have to come back here after I'll talk to
No,
him?
sir,
no,
you can wait right here.
right
We'll
there.
get to you in just a minute.
All right.
There he is in the back.
Stand up in the right there in the white shirt.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Mr. Fuller.
Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. Apparently I brought two. Hope I could use them both. Faster internet may be coming to Shreveport at a very good cost, and it's about the evaluation of the cell towers, not bell towers, Jeff. It has been established in a good place. The city of Shreveport could be very much quickened in the internet connections by up to 10 times the current speed, and very fast too. Wouldn't that be great and something worth talking about? Shreveport has seen and is seeing and hearing a lot about the increase of the wireless traffic requests from providers to establishing the cell towers, not bell towers. They are defined by the FCC, which regulate interstate communications by radio, television, wire, satellite, and cable too. The cell towers, they do come in a good variety of forms and sizes. That's the thing about cell towers, not the bell towers. You want to control the impact and not the technology. Let's keep trying to do a real good job keeping up with the character of the cell towers and not the bell towers. It's very important in certain areas, including downtown Shreveport, historic areas, and it's really a great thing to think about and to do. It's a wonderful thing, too. And, Jeff, the reason I say this is because I misheard you on television. I'll tell you why. I might have been in another room when you were talking about cell towers, and I thought you said bell towers, and I said to myself, what does he want with bell towers? That's where the misconception took place.
Sammy
Steph.
called me over the weekend to let me know.
And I want to know what you wanted with
excited
the
about bell towers because the bells would sound cool.
What
and
would you
I
want
had to
with bell
correct him
towers?
that was not exactly what we were talking about.
Sammy, were you in the garage with Councilman Corbin?
No. I was in the kitchen. But it does remind me of something I remember hearing about, because one time this girl was a phone operator, and this man
Please don't
called
use
in.
up all your time because you have two here.
I can do it. He apparently called in, and this girl was a phone operator, and he said, "Hello, security?" She said, "No, this is Melody." He said, "I want security." And she said, goes like, "Who? I want security. She doesn't work here. May I help you?" And then he hung up the phone afterwards and said, "I knew good work was hard to get, but she's ridiculous."
Okay, Sammy, are you going to use your other 40 seconds for your other one here? 'Cause
Well,
you're-
okay, it's back at 3 minutes. Maybe I can.
Yeah.
Okay, it's back on 3 minutes. I just need to do this quick. Since being evicted from Oak Meadows Apartments, April 29th of 2016, Earl Deming had been gone from the Oak Meadows property and had caused a lot of trouble with me and the kids playing football, mean to the parents and other people who didn't like him. For about 8 or 9 years, people at Oak Meadows Apartments and myself tried to get him out, but we just didn't band together. We finally did, and we took written complaints to the manager at the office, and he was finally evicted April 29th of 2016. Earl Deming is supposed to not be given any more second chances, so that's why he was out. Recently, he came back on the property, which is trespassing, which was November the 15th of last year. If anyone should see him, they're going to be calling the law to come over and put him in jail. And then if they decide to, which I know I'm going to, I'll be pressing charges and taking this matter to court if I have to do it myself. Hopefully I won't have to be alone, because a lot of people don't want him over there at Oak Meadows either. He's to stay away from Oak Meadows, and also he's not going to be able to win this little case, because when you're evicted from a property, you are out. You don't get any more second chances. And I just guarantee you that this is one little thing he is not going to win. So Earl Deming, stay away.
Mr. Kincraft.
Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue. I like going before Sammy. He's tough to follow. I got a few things, and I'll end up with a couple Robert Westerman stories. My sales tax survey for last month, 8 of 10 were up and 2 were flat, and they've been really good predictors. And the reason I'm optimistic about this year is all these groups, and I'm not even talking oil and gas, which is holding steady, Oliver, but all these groups have given pay raises in the last few months. Cattle Parish Commission, the Cattle Parish School Board, the state of Louisiana, the U.S. government, Social Security, not much. The city of Shreveport, 5%. February 1st, withholding changes. The tax law Congress passed and the president signed. So more withholding. What do Americans do with extra money? We spend 2/3 of it at retail, which means sales taxes for all the agencies, of course. And looking ahead, June 30th, we hope that penny the state imposed in the Happy Valentine special session goes away, although I'm afraid some of it may come back and bite us. So there's a lot of good reason to be optimistic, and I'll repeat what I've said repeatedly. Let's build up the operating budget reserve as much as we can, and hopefully at this time next year, or even in November, December, preparing for the 19 general fund budget, we'll see how much better off we are. But I'm really optimistic. What might help, and I don't know if it would, and I've mentioned this before, is a citizens bond committee at some point before the April 28th renewal millages, which are already approved and headed to the bond commission, and hopefully they'll approve that routinely. But I really think if you involve citizens in streets and drainage and police and fire and parks, you have a better chance when they vote in late April on existing millages. They're not focused on the fact that the police millage goes back to 1921. They're focused on capital infrastructure projects. And getting to Robert at the end, that idea I mentioned to Patrick and Chief, his widow, Renee, and the entire family is totally cool, Chief, with that idea. So it's up to you guys to present it. The council doesn't know yet. I just thought about this last night, playing 4-suit spider solitaire. Robert was so intense at a game against the police department at the park in Anderson Island. He's drawn in the sand, and he's redesigning the turning radius of line in 78th, 78C009. He and I together. I kind of dispute that unmatched on city projects. I think I'm equal. But Robert is the only person ever who knew why I nicknamed my SWEPCO pole, speaking of cell towers, Tichnor. Tichnor, T-I-C-H-N-O-R. Well, he knew I was a zip code freak, and he knew the SWEPCO poles have 5-digit numbers starting with 7. Kent, it's probably some stupid zip code. Yes, Tichnor, Arkansas is my light pole.
That's it.
That's all we got.
This meeting is adjourned.